What's happening, my friends? Welcome to another great episode of the Arrington Gavin Show, your go to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day, whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or the latest buzz. Look, we're diving deep and keeping it real, so do me a favor, kick back, stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. My friends, on today's conversation, we're going to talk about all things happening within the Democratic Party. It's more division and issues happening amongst each other than it is happening as far as rebuilding, right? The rebuilding stages is what's causing a lot of the division. Separation from the establishment Democrats to the progressives, right? Moderates and the far left leaning Democrats. It's a lot happening. You have new leadership in the Democratic committee that a lot of folks are just not too fond of. In my opinion, I think it's, and I've spoken about it on previous programs, the old school versus the new school. The old school is really having a problem trying to give up on that power. And you have new school trying to say, hey, look, we got to start cleaning the house in some kind of capacity. Yeah, some of y'all can stay, but we can't continue to do the same old thing. So we need to have that push. We need to have that change. And so I'll talk a little more with that later on in the program. Also, NFL Hall of Famer turn popular podcaster turned sports analyst Shannon Sharpe is facing some very serious allegations, sexual assault allegations, and he's getting sued for $50 million. That's right, $50 million. We're going to talk a little more about that as well, because I want to share, I want to give you my take on that. Also, the Oscars have finally changed their rules, requiring their members to that are supporting their voting committees to see all films from different categories. Which, in all honesty, I thought that's what they were up there for. So you're telling me that these people that voted for some of these winners didn't even see all of the films? They just kind of had a little pocket of stuff, because that's why a lot of folks can't stand award shows, right? They're not a fan. They're not a fan of it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. Also, you won't believe this: a second signal gate has occurred. That's right. I tell you, man, Pete Hegseth, uh, he just can't get himself together, and the Trump administration continues to look like fools, as not expected, because hey, that's what you get when you bring in unqualified folks in. You have these mistakes that are entirely petty. And so we'll talk about that. And if we have a little time in the program, we're also going to head to the pop culture, more in the entertainment scene. Actor Terrence Howard's launching a new podcast, saying he's gonna talk about all the details. He's laying out all the dirty laundry of what happens in Hollywood. So we have that and more issues happening in the GOP, like GOP House member Nancy Mace. She fusses out one of her constituents. That's how she treats her constituent. She cusses them out in the store publicly and then records it and is like, look at me, I'm the victim here. Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot to discuss. But hey, look, we're gonna tap into it here on the show. Again, thank you so much for taking 1 hour of your time to tune into the Arrington Gavin Show. I am your host, your friend, Arrington Gavin, coming to you on another great evening. Look, do me a favor, if you haven't, please be sure to follow us on our variety of social media platforms. You can follow us on Instagram, Blue Sky, X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as Substack. All right, you can follow us at the Arrington Gavin Show. I truly appreciate it. You can also I want to let you know ways you can tune into the show. You can watch us on YouTube, Rumble, as well as on the Goatverse TV app. So hello, those who are watching us through those platforms. The Goatverse TV app, you can download it right now. Available on the App Store, Google Play Store, Roku, as well as Amazon Fire and YouTube and Rumble. You can follow us and subscribe to our channels at the Arrington Gavin Show, the Arrington Gavin Show. So I truly appreciate that. In addition, look, ways you can listen to us. There's multiple ways you can listen to the program. We're available on all major podcast platforms. So wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, you can tune into the Arrington Gavin Show. You can also listen to us on the radio airwaves If you happen to be in the Metro Atlanta area, shout out to our those who are listening to us right now on WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk on the Metro Atlanta side. And then also shout out to our New Orleans fam. That's right, who are listening to us right now on WBOK 1230 AM. So I really, really, really appreciate those relationships with those thriving stations, especially WBOK. I mean, the oldest and longest running Black-owned, one of the oldest and running Black-owned radio stations in the country. So such a true honor to be a part of such a great lineup of programs on WBOK 1230 AM. So what we gonna do, let's get it started with our fun fact of the day. And then we'll go ahead to a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back with more headlines and all that good stuff here on the Arrington Gavin Show. So, fun fact of the day. Did you all know that the very first U.S. President, George Washington, never joined a political party? Did you know that? He never belonged to any political party, not Democrat, not Republicans, no third party, no Green. He was just solo. He was unaffiliated. And you know what he said in his farewell address? He warned folks to say, hey, look, if I were you, do not join a party. No, don't do it. He warned against them in his farewell address. So he was the first. Now, why didn't folks follow through with that, right? Listen to your past president, your very first one ever. They said, no, we ain't gonna do that. We're gonna start dividing up the country. We're gonna start dividing up the country with the upper class and the lower class. With we gonna take care of you here. We're gonna take care. It's crazy. And now you look at it, most folks, there's polling that shows like 64% of American voters really are irritated with both sides. People predominantly are independent votors. Yeah, they might have liberal views here and there. They might have conservative views here and there, but they're not married to a party. That's why, y'all, I'll be honest with you. I ain't married to not a party. All right. Independent all the way, right? Independent all the way. That's my goal. That's, to me, where the truth lies in, where we all should stay focused and look into when it comes to some, third party candidates, folks that are independent voters, because people are paid on both sides, okay? They are paid. Whoever funds them, guess what? Runs them. All right? That's how it goes. Let me digress from that. Let's go ahead and shout out some of our proud supporters of the Arrington Gavin Show, like our friends over at Priority Ford. That's right, my good friends over at Priority Ford. Looking for the best deals on Ford vehicles? At Priority Ford, they make your car buying experience smooth, easy, and exciting. From powerful trucks like the Ford F-150 to versatile SUVs like the Ford Explorer, they've got the perfect ride for your lifestyle. And with Priority for Life, you get complimentary oil changes, state inspections, and more for as long as you own your vehicle. Plus, they have financing options to fit every budget, which is good because, hey, look, everybody wants to be on a good budget, right? So why wait? Do me a favor. Go ahead, visit Priority Ford right now by going to PriorityFord.com. Your dream car is waiting. So, again, want to shout out them for being a proud supporter of the Arrington Gavin Show. My friends, look, we're going to head to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have a lot more show for you here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Don't go anywhere.
And we still in traffic.
Don't look familiar, do I? Not in this seat.
Hey, what's that you listening to?
Here to host today.
Hey, turn it up.
With me?
Yeah, this that new GoatVerse app. I got you.
So y'all want to know where the goats are? They're off on the sidelines.
Looking for fresh, relevant content wherever you go?
What was the name of the app he said?
Introducing GoatVerse TV.
GoatVerse, that's what it's called.
The free streaming app that brings you the best podcasts, current events, and thought-provoking opinions all in one place. Download it now from the Apple Store or Play Store. In Goats, we trust.
Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. Order our scented beard oils and beard balms to help you maintain and grow the perfect beard. Order today. Try our men's care products like the full body exfoliating cleansing bars, body wash, smooth stash, and more. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Rugged Evolution Beard Care. We're your luxury but affordable men's care line. And remember,
Rugged is the new smooth.
All right, my friends, welcome back to the show. Welcome back. Well, look, let's get it going with our first headline story of the day. I'm going to start off in the entertainment space. Actor, musician Terrence Howard, you know, star of Best Man Holiday, as well as the hit FX show, Fox show, Empire. He played Lucius Lyon. That was a quite popular program that he was a part of. He's been on this tour, I would consider, of him. I don't know, just he has these interesting moments, in my opinion. All right, he has these interesting moments. He's now the person that he's basically mimicking comedian Cat Williams, in my opinion. So Terrence Howard was recently on Patrick Bet David podcast called PBD. That's the name of the podcast. And he was speaking, he made headlines because he had basically shared about his encounter with Sean Diddy Combs, the music media mogul who has been really in jail since, I don't know. He's been in prison for how long? I feel like more than a year, right? Truly a fall from grace. And so since then, you know, he's gone viral, becoming more relevant again. I mean, he's still a great actor. So I feel like this is all just like, he doesn't need to do this, but he continues to share some wow information. Like, whoa, I mean, he's telling it all, isn't he? So check this out. He announced that he will be launching a new podcast called, well, he hasn't announced the name, but he just said he's going to basically talk about all the dirt in Hollywood. Now, this is The Root reports that Terrence Howard is about to shake up more than just his wig. He's about to shake up Hollywood as we know. And now they know exactly how he plans to do so. It says here he recently revealed he was recording a new podcast that's dedicated to blowing the lid off industry misconceptions, missteps, and speaking truth to power. I feel like everybody thinks they can speak truth to power, right? I feel like that's like a common thing to do now. It's like, I'm speaking truth to power. How many times have you heard that in folks podcasts or shows and this and that? I feel like I've said it. Hell, I feel like I've said it before. But describing the venture as a studio's nightmare and every actor's wet dream, he recently told TMZ, while the release of the podcast is forthcoming, he's going to be getting extremely candid about his experience working on Hollywood projects and shining a light on how things really operate. All right. So chief among those projects will no doubt be the popular Fox drama Empire that took over TV screens from 2015, to 2025. I mean, to 2020. In those conversations, it says here that the Fight Night star divulged that he'll air out business betrayals and shady transactions that went down around that time. Now, here's the interesting thing. So during that Empire season, I mean, you had they were making crazy money, right? Crazy money, crazy popularity. Now, the sad part is, a couple of their big name stars, really their careers had hit a brick wall, right? You had Jussie Smollett with the I was about to say Juicy Smollett. Jussie Smollett had the issue with falsifying a crime that really never happened, and he had to face the consequences on that. Then you had the youngest son, I'm forgetting his name, but he played the rapper on the show. He got in trouble with the law multiple times out, in real life. And it's sad because it's like, wow, you had like this was an awesome opportunity of a career boost for you, right? Empire will forever be a memorable show. Now, Terrence Howard spoken about how, hey, he was paid very unfairly. They didn't get the right amount that they deserve compared to other shows that were doing poorly in the ratings compared to theirs. And so, yeah, he's gonna talk about it. But Terrence has always been kind of like a earthy, interesting individual, in my opinion, right? So now him not caring anymore, him wanting to share out the dirt that happens in Hollywood. I mean, hey, it could be a profitable avenue for him. I say it like this: for folks that are in the public eye that are already famous, whether you're a famous actor, famous musician, a famous politician, if you are famous and have a following, why not start a podcast? Because to me, it's easy money for them. Now, me on the other hand, I'm over here. I'm a struggling artist trying to make it out here in these streets. I'm a struggling artist. I continue to grow. I am in the growing stages of this program, right? Folks don't know who the hell I am. I'm hoping they get to know me through conversation. That's why I love doing this. But guys like a Terrence Howard, you already know who he is. So are you gonna see his authentic stuff, or are you gonna see a dude that's just weird? I mean, he just his attire, he's weird. Like, this is the same guy that he and it's, I don't know, maybe just the humor side of him. This man was on a film on a set doing, he did a movie with Kevin Hart, Samuel L. Jackson, I think Taraji P. Henson is Don Cheadle. I forget the name of it, but he played this character that had a perm. And so this man has this, unfiltered interview out, offset, but he was still in his costume. He was still in his perm and stuff. But it's just like, what? That's why in the beginning of this article I just read, where it says, he's doing a lot of shakeups, and now I'm not talking about his wig, right? So I say all that to say, y'all, I'm curious about this podcast, just out of curiosity. What would he be discussing? Will he be bringing on guests that also has been, somewhat blackballed by the industry? Will he bring somebody like a Monique, a Roseanne, right? Folks who their career went down for endorsing a political figure. How many times have you seen folks from Hollywood get blackballed because they publicly endorsed Donald Trump? I mean, come on. The guy that played last name Levy, I think his name is. I'm forgetting the superhero he played, but he came out endorsing Trump. There was a former Soprano star. She came out, supporting Trump. Hell, Roseanne. Come on now. Roseanne was at one point up here, and now she's up here in the conservative, the far. To me, she's a bit far right, but she's building a career in the conservative movement. There's so many people that has said, hey, look, I'm supporting this guy, and it's ruined their career. So are those going to be some of his guests, or is he just going to continue to talk every day about stories that he was involved in? We will see. We will see. But again, that is a new story happening that's involving actor Terrence Howard. Let's see here. Let's stay in the Hollywood scene for a split second. I want to talk about the Oscars. All right. Recently, it was shared that the Oscars would be mandating voters to watch all nominated movies, set new rules for AI and refugee filmmakers. Now, in my opinion, the Oscars has always shown a is very biased, or is it biased or unbiased? No, yeah, to me it's like they only acknowledge foreign films, because they look in the Oscars, you have to acknowledge films from all across the world, right? That's why you have folks that will get up there that their first language is not English, right? They pick point films and nominate films and projects and directors from all across the world. Now, the issue that occurs when it comes to award season, especially the Oscars, and this is shared around, the family table, to share around friends. When you see these films that get nominated or win award, people are like, I ain't never even heard of this damn award. What? The films we're familiar with is like, oh, you check out such and such, and then they're never really not even nominated. They might be nominated in the Golden Globes, but that's it. To me, there's so many films that is well in deserving of an Oscar, but you also have that case of, does the Oscars build great careers, or sometimes is it so like rigged? Like, people are like, you know what? We don't even the greatest actors don't even win awards. Like, there's rarely, and I can just speak for, as far as for Black people, we have Denzel Washington, who's a legendary. I don't think Samuel L. Jackson ever won an Oscar, if I'm not mistaken. I know Will Smith has, Jamie Foxx has, Sidney Poitier, the late great Sidney Poitier has, Denzel. But you have so many prominent other Black actors. I want to say Forrest Whitaker might have. Won one. Morgan Freeman. Like, you have your familiar fate, but there's so many others that deserves to win. So, Viola, not Viola, Angela freaking Bassett. Are you kidding me? Come on now. There's so many that deserves more and more and more awards. No way in hell. I'm sorry. No offense to Jamie Lee Curtis, but Angela Bassett should have won. Easy, hands down. Chadwick Boseman should have been an Oscar award winning. He should have won one before he had passed. He made a lot of great films before he had passed. The list goes on and on, but I say all that to say, the Oscars always showed a rigness to their voting system. So I think now, of course, it's the right time. Now, this is reported by Associated Press, says here that the Oscars will no longer be able to skip watching some of the nominated films. Now, the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts, and Sciences recently released that members will, from now on, be required to watch all nominated films in each category to be eligible to vote in the final round of Oscar voting. Now, up until now, Oscar voters had only been encouraged to watch the nominees and vote in categories they felt qualified in. You have to do it all, which I think is, hey, that's the whole point of having a voting committee. That's the whole point, in my opinion, of having that. But in recent years, they said what films get watched by Academy members has been increasingly seen as a significant factor in what wins. At the same time, the publication of anonymous Oscar ballots have often featured members confessing that they didn't get around to watching some of the notable films or not finishing lengthier nominees. Now, here's the thing. In defense to when they say lengthier nominees, one thing I can't stand what a lot of these films are doing now is, and this is probably why I rarely, like my wife, we still make it an effort to go to the movies because it's just the tradition, the feeling of going, hey, let's go to the movies, let's order popcorn, it's a nice thing to do. But when I tell you, and I've talked about it many times on this show, movies are too damn long. They're too long. I'm talking on an average of 2 hours and 45 minutes. That is insane. Maybe higher than that. Like, it is so flipping long. Like, why do you make movies so long? If it's knocking on that 3-hour door, then guess what? You need to turn into a series. Movies, in my opinion, should only be about an hour 45 at the most. Hour 45. When you get to 2 hours, you start losing me. Hour 45, that's all you need. That is all you need for a movie. Now, I get it. They're like, but it's so good. Then split it and make it into some sequels. But it's just, I cannot stand these long movies. And a lot of these movies that win these awards, they're long as mess. And on top of that, the plots are, to me, bizarre. Like, they're starting to overly sexualize things and and the topics. I think sometimes, in my opinion, writers and directors are kind of recycling same old things. Like, let's just change it up a little bit, change it up. But yes, so I'm curious to see how this will show in the next award season. It already has been announced that comedian Conan O'Brien will be hosting the next year's Oscars. What's unfortunate, by the way? It's not really unfortunate. It's just a sidebar. You guys remember that Will Smith is banned from appearing at the Oscars for like the next 10 years. Well, 9 years, because they already just had the first one now without him. So he cannot show up to the Oscars for the next 9 years. And, due to the, the slap when he slapped Chris Rock, which was wow, by the way. Let's see here. It says here that critics have long called on changes to the nominating process for Best International Film because it leaves the submission process in the hands of governments, not the Academy. That's left descendant filmmakers working under authoritarian undemocratic regimes with limited pathway to reaching the Oscars. Now, last year, for instance, the Iranian filmmaker Mohammad Rasulov fled Iran before he was to be flogged and imprisoned for 8 years in order to release his film, The Seed of the Sacred Fig. Germany, where Rasulov settled, submitted it for the Oscars and it was nominated. But other filmmakers, including Rasulov's friend and countryman Jafar Panahi, have released films without a mechanism for submission. So, and I might have to get in contact with some of my filmmaker friends to bring them on there to have a more understanding of, okay, does this process benefit filmmakers, especially indie filmmakers, to say, hey, look, submit their work and get more. I'm just curious because you got to think about it. Films around the world, you know how many filmmakers there are now. I'm not saying it's an easy thing, but there's a lot of talented creators and filmmakers out there that is, that's a lot. That's a lot. That's all I have to say. That's a lot. But we will continue to follow up with this because this was pretty recent. This was pretty recent news that was just shared. And so we will continue to keep you guys afloat with it and keep you posted on things happening within that space. But what we are going to do, as I digress from this, we're going to head to a commercial break. We have a lot more show for you here on the Arrington Gavin Show. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Jazera Learning Institute, LLC, is a hybrid learning center that strives to educate adults and children in all fields. During the day, we offer programs that are focused on developing students from pre-K to 12th grade, which includes tutoring, homeschool co-op, an after-school program, SAT, ACT prep, and many more engaging academic programs. Our adult education programs include workforce trainings, GED prep, life coaching, various seminars, and many more. Our vision is to train and educate in a positive way that will lead to a positive change in the world, one person at a time. For more information, visit us online at JazeranLearningInstitute.com or call us at 757-208-7407.
Order your beard care products with Rugged Evolution. We're your local beard care line that supports the maintenance of your full, mature beard. Our line Order your beard care products with Rugged Evolution. We're your local beard care line that supports the maintenance of your full, mature beard. Our line includes conditioning shampoos, moisturizers, balms, oils, shaving lotions, and exfoliating soaps. These products moisturize, hydrate, nourish, and have all the natural ingredients for a healthy beard. Log on to our website or download our app to place your orders. Become a man of distinction with Rugged Evolution Beard Care. And remember,
Rugged is the new smooth.
What's happening, fam? Welcome back to the Arrington Gavin Show. I'm your guy, Arrington Gavin. All right, next up on our list of things to discuss. Look, let's talk about NFL Hall of Famer, host of Club Shay Shay, host of Nightcap. He's a regular on First Take. The one and only Shannon Sharpe, right? Shannon Sharpe recently has been accused of sexual assault, which is pretty insane. I will say, is very strong allegations that I don't think anybody would ever want to be accused of, especially a person I would say like Shannon Sharpe, somebody who is a parent, someone who is continuing to climb up that media ladder. I personally will say, like, he is starting to hit his Steve Harvey level of success wise, right? He let's just say, I mean, we've seen the rise of him as a sports analyst. He's making a crap ton of more money than he was when he was a professional football player. We see the rise of his media company. I think it's Shay Media. I think it's called Shay Media. And we see the success of his podcast Club Shay Shay, where he has one-on-one conversation with influential figures from, entertainers, politicians, you name it. And then he also does a program called Nightcap, along with former football player Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco, and it's successful, right? It's really, really sharp, and I think he has two other shows that's under his media realm, right? And so we see the success occurring. We see him on his way of signing a humongous deal. I think they said that he was close to signing a media deal that was worth over $100 million. So around $100 million, and I'll explain a little more about that. But let's talk about this accusation. So let me read you a little bit about this. The accuser is suing him for sexual assault, obviously by a woman. She's going anonymous, Jane Doe, but she's represented by Tony Busby's firm. This is the same attorney who briefly filed a suit against Jay-Z that was recently dropped, and I mean, it was over from there. But that's how Busby really became popular, right? A familiar face in that matter. So that's kind of like strike one. Okay, this guy strictly deals with folks who are going after powerful elite figures in the entertainment space. Strike one. But let me read you this article reported by People Magazine. It says here that the NFL Hall of Famer has been accused of rape and sexual assault in a lawsuit filed recently by a woman in Nevada. Now, the plaintiff, who is suing under the name Jane Doe, alleged that Sharpe, 56 years old, who now works for ESPN, raped her on multiple occasions over the course of nearly a 2-year rocky consensual relationship. Now, the woman alleged that Shannon also recorded their sexual encounters without her consent and shared the recordings with others. Again, these are all allegations. Innocent until proven guilty. These are all allegations. I'm reading a quote here. It says a woman can say yes to consensual relations with a man 99 times, but when she says no even once, that no means no. The complaint states defendant Shannon Sharpe, a man who is accustomed to getting what he wants, completely fails to understand the basic concept. Now, the woman, who's a Nevada resident, says that she met Sharpe when she was 22. Now, other reports say, and I read this earlier too, other reports say that she met him when she was 19. So again, just giving y'all clarification, multiple sources have different, are explaining this differently. USA Today had shared that she was 19. People Magazine is sharing that she was 22. At a gym in Los Angeles in 2023 is when they met. Now, she claims he made multiple advances towards her in subsequent visits to the gym before the complaint says she eventually gave in. Now, Sharpe asked the woman to sign a non-disclosure agreement before she could meet up with him, which is pretty stressful life. But I guess, hey, that's what it takes when you become a successful person like this gentleman is. But dropped the request after she pushed back. The lawsuit states. Now, the lawsuit recounts a subsequent alleged incident during which she claimed Sharpe became violent with her and threatened to kill her after she showed up late to his home. Another quote: he demanded complete control over her time and body, expected her to be at his house on his schedule, at his command whenever he called. Now in 2024, both Sharpe and the plaintiff each individually moved to Nevada. The suit referenced the time in September of 2024. Sharpe says he mistakenly began live streaming himself on Instagram having sex with a woman. The plaintiff states that this encounter was with another woman and that she was humiliated by the incident and began to pull away from Sharpe. So we all remember that incident when Sharpe was getting it on live IG, and he was like, sidebar, I would just say that, which in this case, she alleges that he recorded their sexual encounters without her consent. Now, with the issue that occurred with this IG live happening, I'll be honest, I don't know anybody that accidentally leaves an IG live on while I can see somebody say, "Oh, you're about to put something on your story," and you accidentally hit go on live or something like. But your phone should. I don't know how they stayed online. That's just this. It's to me that right there was a bit staged, in my opinion. But before I read this, let me just kind of give you the breakaway of my take on this, because this is all, again, allegations. Shannon Sharpe is a bachelor. He's damn near 60 years old. He's a bachelor making buku money, very successful, and he's a powerful individual. Now, this John Doe, extremely young, right? Thinking that she is the only one, which she was not, because she's saying right here she's embarrassed the fact that she gave in because he pursued her, and it's like he kept on pursuing, and then she finally caved in. So they had a 2-year on and off relationship. He pursued her the year prior. So she's thinking, oh, he put all this effort. He must really like me. He really likes me. And so then she realized she's not the only one. She's feeling some type of way. She's like, well, I'm gonna hit it where it hurts, because he's all this, this and that. And she's still very disappointed with how it ended. She said, let me hit it where it hurts. Right now, me personally, when it comes to allegations like this, and I don't know how the court system works, if someone, and again, I'm saying hypothetically, these are all allegations. If someone assaults you or rapes you, I'm sorry, is justice millions and millions of dollars, or is it to lock that individual up? That's the question I'm asking you all, the listeners and viewers out there. Like, is justice locking them up or receiving millions and millions of dollars? That's one thing that always, like, oh, that's a struggle point, because it's hard when you are accusing somebody with millions of dollars and you say this person, because let's be honest, people make false accusations left like a lot to public figures. That's not foreign. That is true, right? But you also have people in the public eye, people with high profile, that abuse their power, that know that they can get away with stuff because, boom, they have the access, they have the fan base, they have this, they have that. And so it's a back and forth when it comes to situations like this. Now, as I continue to read this, it says here that the plaintiff claims that Sharpe subsequently began flooding her phone with calls, prompting her to leave Nevada frequently. The suit then describes on October of 2024 incident during which Sharpe alleged forced the plaintiff into a car and took her to her apartment. The plaintiff alleged that Sharpe then forced her to perform oral sex before and I apologize for getting graphic, but before anally raping her. Reading a quote here, Sharpe grabbed her head for, well, I won't read too. I won't read too much into that because getting pretty graphic. But then in January, as late as January of 2025, the plaintiff claimed that Sharpe asked to come to her apartment to give her a combined Christmas and birthday present. Once there, the plaintiffs alleged in the complaint that he again sexually assaulted her and refused to wear a condom. I mean, again, extreme allegations. This gentleman is still innocent to proven guilty. It's, this will be dealt with in a court of law. I will say this. Stuff comes out when you are on the rise. All right. And I say that to say is the timing. Why now? Why now? Now, the thing is, this is not like, oh, this happened 20, 30 years ago. They're going as late as January of 2025. But again, he literally just, it was publicized that he has signed $100 million. Let me read this. That he is signed a near $100 million media deal for Club Shay Shay, his podcast empire, including Club Shay Shay, Nightcap, and his in other programs. So again, you see this happening, and then all of a sudden, boom, he said with this, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. Now, Shannon has been public on, he loves his single life. He says he gets it in this, and then the other. Now, would he ease off all those jokes because of these lawsuits now? We will see. But again, this is pretty recent and breaking news that these allegations being brought against former NFL star, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champ, and sports analyst and podcast, the whole 9 yards. It's a lot. So we will continue to follow you up with this story. But until then, like I said, allegations, innocent until proven guilty. All right, let me digress with that. It looks like I have about close to 15 minutes left into the show. I want to talk some politics before I let you guys go. I want to talk about the divide happening within the Democratic Party, right? I want to talk about the divide happening within the Democratic Party. Why? Because, boy. So recently, I had attended a campaign kickoff of Mr. Blazin Buckshot Bloom. He was a guest here on the show. He's currently running for Virginia State House District 89. If elected, he will be the youngest. I believe the gentleman just turned 22. If elected, he will be the youngest ever elected. And so, again, a pretty big deal. But for how young he is still very much so. He's still very much. He's very experienced, right? He speaks like he's been doing this forever, and that's one thing that amazed me is like, wow, you're just this age, but like you started running for office fresh out of high school. Like he was very intelligent. This was grown in his spirit on public service, right? But attending his campaign kickoff, I've noticed that there's a divide in the Democratic Party just on a local level, right? So we see it happening on a federal level, on a national level. Last show I've spoken about the newly elected vice chair of the DNC, David Hogue, who announced that he was going to be investing $20 million in primary challengers and not the incumbents. Now we've witnessed House Minority Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, who said he's standing behind incumbents 24/7. Why? Yeah, because of his colleagues. But in my opinion, that's a part of the problem. That's, to me, Hakeem needs to wake up also and smell the coffee, because I'm on the side of David Hogue. you can't continue to have the same old people continue to get reelected. First of all, there should be term limits in Congress and Senate. I'm gonna say it right there. If there's term limits for your local elections, if there's term limits for governor's position, if there's term limits for presidencies, there should be term limits for Congress, House, and the Supreme Court. There should easily be term limits. No way in hell should there be folks that are damn near 90 that are still serving in office. So that's in my opinion right there. But we see this divide happening amongst progressive Democrats and the established Democrats, right? The moderate Democrats. They look at the progressives as, oh, they're destroying this party and they just need to start their own. You see the back and forth happening with legendary Democratic strategist James Carville and David Hogue. David Hogue is 25 years old, but he is a part of the future. He's on the ground 24/7. He probably is like a young James Carville back when James Carville was young, but now James Carville is thinking like, hey, I all I do is watch and visualize this. This is what you need to do. Look, at the end of the day, respect him or hate him, James Carville, he has not worked in a campaign probably since the Clinton years, right? So you do have to set aside the fact that, okay, maybe you do have to go more forward and go with more youthful thinking. So let me read this. This is reported by The Hill. It says here, battles brewing over future of the Democratic Party. Now, we've seen lately AOC and Bernie Sanders doing these massive tours, but not all Democrats are excited about the momentum that they are building up, because not everybody are keen or fond of progressives. Hey, I'm the same way. I'm not all the way down with progressives, but I look at them as at least they're making the effort to fight, to go against the grain with things. It says here that over the future of the party are simmering as liberals seek new leaders and a path back to power in the President Trump's second term, which could maybe be a third term. Yes, a third term. We're witnessing right now, before I continue to read this, we are witnessing in front of our eyes a downfall, really, of the Democratic Party as a whole. Let me find this clip for you all, which it came across my feed. So I don't know if this was, where was this at? This is a clip of the Democratic Party in Hong Kong, the largest opposition party in the semi-autonomous Chinese territory, said it will start their process of delusion. Let me go ahead and play this real quick.
We're not saying we're fighting for independence of Hong Kong or secession. No. We are fighting for the Chinese government two systems. And what is wrong with that?
Emily Lau once led the Democratic Party, the largest opposition party in Hong Kong. But now, amid the ongoing crackdown on dissent by Beijing, the party is facing dissolution.
Continue with our struggle for democracy, for protection of human rights. We've been people. It's very sad that we have to close down. Really terrible. We've never had democracy. But at least there were some parties who could speak out and so on.
This new reality has been shaped by a national security law imposed by Beijing, electoral reform to make sure that only pro-China patriots govern Hong Kong, and a second security law passed last year.
So I didn't want to share the full thing, but right then and there, I think the party was maybe in existence for maybe 30 years, but that was announced that yes, Hong Kong's Democratic Party would start their process of dissolution. They are closing their. That's how. Look, y'all. There will be moments where you have to make some changes. There will be moments where, see, really, there's still the Republican Party doesn't really exist. It's MAGA. MAGA and the Republican Party are two separate ones. Now, do they have massive support from the Republican Party? Hell yeah. But there's a divide, right? MAGA and and conservatives. There's a divide, right? majority of America, independent thinkers. People are tired that that have been long-standing Democratic voters. I actually had a conversation. It was funny. I had a conversation with my a relative recently, and we were going back and forth about uh Congressman Al Green, because he stood up and he got kicked out of the state of during the State of the Union, and my one of my relatives was like, "Oh, that was just stupid. He shouldn't have done that. You got to respect all." I'm like, hold on. You do realize who's in leadership, right? You do realize the respect factor has been gone ever since Trump has sniffed out politics. All right. That's been long gone. So the fact of the matter is, you have Democratic voters that are saying, we want to see the Democratic Party grow a backbone. We want to see them make an effort. And so I at least commend Al Green for standing up, right? He didn't have to show. There were some folks that didn't show, which was cute. There was some that held a little paddle there, cute, but personally, you got to stick it to where it hurts. Ruin his moment of fame during his State of the Union. No, call him out. Call him out. But see, one thing that the Republican Party has, and they do well. Oh, they make sure they utilize their power. Oh, they gonna use their platforms, because why wasn't back when Obama had his first State of the Union and the guy yelled out, "You lied"? They never kicked him out. They, meaning Nancy Pelosi, she didn't stand behind our president. She didn't stand behind our guy. That stuff kills me. There is no support, and that's the establishment right there I'm talking about. Now, let me continue this article because I'm looking at my time here. It says here that the progressive left is having a moment after Senator Bernie Sanders, independent out of Vermont, and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, widely successful anti-oligarch tour. Now, with 7,000 strong rally recently in Montana. See, they're hitting the states that are really just red states that don't have a huge Democratic following. Now, Sanders and AOC pulled huge numbers in surpassing places as they ventured into traditionally, as I mentioned, red parts of the country, showing there's a market for the populist left. Now, Sanders advisor Faze Shakir recently said 13 of the 16 stops on their tour were GOP held congressional districts, turning out more than 250,000 people. About 1/3 of the new signees to Sanders' list are not registered Democrats. See, play strategy. They're doing the right thing right now. Now, the Hills, Caroline Vakil crunched the numbers recently and said that she found the populist Democrats are raking in big bucks, led by Sanders and AOC. Also, Representative Ro Khanna out of California and Senator Chris Murphy out of Connecticut. Now, Sanders, who's 83 years old, is unlikely to run for president again. I'm happy because he's up there in age, but pollster Nate Silver named AOC, who is 35, as the earlier favorite to be the Democratic presidential nominee in 2028. Now, it will be interesting to see, because she is somewhat popular, but progressives are not so popular overall when it comes in in presidential runs, in my opinion. I don't think you've ever had a progressive Democrat in the White House, nor have you even had strong progressives in the White House in general on a position. Now, you could say at one period Kamala Harris was somewhat progressive, but that all kind of changed in my opinion when she never could give a clear answer of hey, anything you would change with the Biden administration. That's crazy. That's crazy, right? But I get it because she is listening to what her party is telling her to do, right? To her, it's a respect thing. She's like, I can't just literally throw my team captain under the bus like that. I can't I'm the quarterback. I can't throw my coach under the bus like that. But at the end of the day, people want the truth. People want to be authentic. The Biden years, yeah, there were some accomplishments done during that period, but in all honesty, he was getting older. He was deteriorating. People were kind of they were hiding that. The establishment was standing behind him, never gave Kamala a chance, but never gave other folks that wanted to run in the Democratic ticket a chance, which to me is why they lost. All right. I continue to tell you time and time again, the Democratic Party will continue to shoot themselves in the foot if they don't listen up to their constituents, if they don't really listen to some of their new leaders, and if they refuse to pursue new challengers. All right. Like this, like people, stop trying to hold on your power because it looks suspect. All right. It looks suspect. Okay. Like Maxine Waters older than President Biden. James Clyburn older than Biden. It is so many old elected officials where I'm like, yo, like if one of them trips, oh, that's it for them. Like they will have immediate emergency hip surgery, knee surgery. Like it's just we've seen it happen with Nancy Pelosi. Someone who is really not trying to give up on her power. She want to run again for re-election. I mean, come on, y'all killing me. Now there was a former Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who recently, now she's chill. I will say that she's much older, but she's a former chair of the House Progressive Caucus. She recently ran on a local race. She just became the newly elected mayor of the city of Oakland. All right. Was it Oakland? Yes, it was Oakland. Now, in my opinion, at their age, that's a safe thing to do. I think they can handle on the local standpoint. It's still a big, huge position, but for folks that have been in forever in higher office, they're like, okay, I can stick with the local route. Let me go local. It's a little easier for me. It's a better pace. I'll do that. My friends, look, the time is gone so fast. Thank you so much for staying with us for this hour of the Arrington Gavin Show. Be sure to tune in to our program weeknights, available on all digital and streaming platforms. You can tune into us through on YouTube, Rumble, all podcast platforms, as well as on our radio affiliates like WBOK 1230 AM. All right, WBOK 1230 AM, as well as the fam out in the Metro Atlanta area, WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk. So as always, my friends, thank you so much for tuning into the Arrington Gavin Show. I will see you next time for another great episode with great conversations, trending news, thought-provoking topics, again, from the realms of politics, sports, pop culture, all the above. Y'all take care. God bless. I will talk to y'all soon. I'm out.